All right, I'm here with Scott Ferguson. He is a lifestyle optimization artist, otherwise known as a life coach, but he's a really good one. A relationship creator, micro influencer, and he is the host of the award-winning Time to Shine Today podcast. Scott, welcome to the show, brother.
Joel, my brother, thank you so much. This is an awesome kind of a podcast swap because I was blessed enough to get you on episode 346. So head on over there after you listen to this one, squad. Check out Joel's because he just blew the mic away. It's fantastic, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's funny in the podcast world, like sometimes that happens where you get to go on someone else's. I don't like the idea of this podcast swap because it sounds like, oh, I got on your podcast and you'll do me a favor and rub my back. But it really, that doesn't happen always. It's really when you connect with someone who's high frequency, high energy, and is doing things. And I only bring people on my podcast that are disruptive and doing something different. Yeah. That's the real reason you're on. So I'm super excited and jacked to have you on, man. You are, for people that don't know, you're a really high level performance coach, and yes, you speak all around the world, and you open for Tony Robbins, and you have a pretty high level group of people that you run with. But before we get into all of that, I want to kind of just talk about like how you got here and how that happened. But what I also find fascinating that you and I have this kind of kinship is that you were in the military. I was in the military, but I was a police officer for 14 years.
Yeah.
And I see just a lot of the same commonalities, right? Mm-hmm. I'm wondering too, like, what drove you into the military? And then also, like, what are the skills you think that you bring out? Because from police work, man, I noticed such a difference in the way, kind of the resilience factor that we have, and then also kind of just our operational mode and the way that we operate. But yeah, I'm just curious, like, hey, what made you decide to go into the military? And then what did you experience there, and how that comes into today's life?
No, again, I appreciate you having me on, Joel. And thank you also for serving, as a police officer, because, even that Buffalo Bill guy that collapsed on the field, right? The lowest paid guy on that field is the biggest hero, right? It's people like you that allows them to go out and get paid a king's ransom to play a kid's game, bro. So thank you for what you did, brother. And people need to realize that you guys are heroes as well. But you know what? I was born in 1972, so I'm 50 years old, and I was born in the Philippine Islands. And I'm half Filipino. I'm a giant Filipino. I'm 6'1", 255. I'm pretty well put together. And I was born at the time. My father was military. My biological father was military, and my biological mother was Filipino. So they just kind of hooked up, did that thing when the veterans are in town, and they procreated me. Well, at the time, mixed breed bastard males, because my father just jetted out over to Vietnam. My biological father jetted to Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And they were afraid that people would grow up, bastard male children would grow up to be my size with chips on their shoulder and take over the Philippine Islands. So they were literally shipping male bastard children to Spain, where Spain controls the Philippine Islands, right? It's part of their province. Well, my mother was like, dude, I can't have that. My biological mother said I can't have it. Happened to be an Air Force couple that was there they had 2 kids. They're looking to adopt one. So second they gave birth, they gave them to this family. Their last name are the Donalds. And I loved them. And what happened is the Donalds got all my paperwork ready, came back to the United States on a temporary passport. And when we got there, the woman who was going to be my adopted mother, her father died. She goes schizophrenic. Can't raise me, ended up in an orphanage. So I don't remember really any of this, Joel, like maybe some screen because I was so young.
Yeah.
And then my family who adopted me, who I call my mother and father, Larry and Diane, they were looking to adopt a child. They couldn't have any children. They got me, but I'm dark skinned, and this is 1973, 74. And, they're in Detroit and having like someone, has skin color like yours, adopting a skin color like mine. It was like, and also my family being from Alabama, actually, and kind of that rednecky kind of thing. No offense to that. But they just were like, dude, what? So I give a lot of props to my mother and father for taking me in. Well, My father was a really bad alcoholic from Vietnam. Okay. And they couldn't raise me. They got divorced when I was like 3. They couldn't raise me. So I was popped around from family to family, raised, and, an aunt and uncle were really instrumental in raising me. It was a lot of strict discipline, heavy hammer kind of thing. And so when I excelled at sports in school, because that was my escape, I was
Were you,
offered
Scott,
some.
I'm just curious too. Were you like a really rebellious kid, or were
I
you
wasn't, because they
e-
were
e-
so disciplined. I wanted to, Joel, but I couldn't because they were so disciplined. This is back when, kids these days get timeout. We got knockout, right? You got out of line, bro. It was like that. So you just watch yourself. So I wanted to get away so bad. My escape was sports. A pretty good wrestler, pretty good baseball player. And so I got some looks and some offers, but they didn't like my 1.8 grade point average, right? So they're like, hey, man, you need to, my dad's like, you can't live here for free. You're going to have to get a job. So I went in the military, went in the Navy. It's the best, 5 years active duty I ever had. I don't really talk too much about what I did, but I went downrange a couple times and did the deed. And then it was the only family that you knew. They had your six, you had theirs, everything was in line. There's a real true brotherhood love, and that Facebook phenomenon brought us all back together in 06, 07 to where we actually meet up once a year. But
nice.
back to the story, and this is, it gets close to ending here, but I got out of the military. I was like, man, I was personal training people, and I'd stay up late at night and watch these infomercials, no money down, real estate. So I was like, I'm going to go do real estate while I'm personal training people. And then I had some really good advisors that were like, listen, man, this is the way you need to roll out your life. And so real estate became my thing. Got away from personal training, no more bouncing at the bar. I just, did real estate, and I excelled a lot, talking, 7-figure acceleration into this thing. And I did not listen to my mentors, and they told me, watch your money, because this market's not going to be as good. Because back then, man, early 2000, we were printing money. What happened is, we were moving out of kind of a high interest rate into lower interest rate. If you pinky promise that you make $200,000 and you have good credit, they were just giving out loans. Basically, you have a pulse. Hey, here's a loan. And that just really kind of buried our country with real estate a little bit. And what ended up happening is I made a buttload of money. I'm talking 7 figures doing this. And come 2009, the market crashed. I didn't listen to my mentors, anybody that told me, hey, Fergie, watch your money, make sure you're taking care of things. And I didn't. And the market crashed. I can always bounce back from stuff just from my past. I'm always able to bounce back. But, my little brother decided to take his life, and I ended up, kind of going into my own little funk, my own little depression. I was still grinding out real estate. And I ended up listing a property for somebody in Michigan that was moving to Florida. And when they moved to Florida, I didn't have anywhere to live, so I just squatted in their property. And it was just me and my Rhodesian Ridgeback roadie. And we ended up staying there. And my only thing I could afford really to do is walk to the library. And I was 37 years old at the time, man.
37 years old, and you're just, are you just like broke?
Yeah, dude. I did not listen to anybody. The thing is I didn't file bankruptcy. I paid everybody off, which left me with next to nothing.
Yeah.
And so when I was at the library, this guy's like, I think you need to read this book. And it was Andy Andrews, The Traveler's Gift. In a nutshell, the main character in it, David Ponder, he loses his job, hence me. His daughter's dying. And he's like, I can give him my insurance money. I'll just run my car into a tree. Runs his car into the tree, wakes up in 1945, I believe it's 1945, and give him hell Harry Truman's office the day before we were going to drop the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He taught him about taking responsibility, the ability to respond, taking action. He goes and meets King Solomon for wisdom, and Frank for basically happiness, And I was like, man, this really changed my life, man. I was like, wow, I can see this. I was doing things as a vulture. I was preying on other people's misfortunes. Now, I was like, I'm going to do everything for the intention, not the attention. And so I really started to build Time to Shine Today as, an online community to help people. It was basically, I started in forums saying, hey, man, anybody have some encouraging words to help people level up, and they did. And I said, I'm going to start this. And I grew it. And now I'm at 160,000 plus subscribers, which people think, wow, that's a lot. But I like to stay intimate with people. I send an email out. I generally get about a 32% open rate, which is unheard of. That's how I get a ton of podcast listens and downloads, right? That's put me into the 7-figure downloads with regards to podcasting. And so I'm a micro influencer. I like to stay really intimate. I work
Yeah.
only one-on-one. I don't do group coaching. So it's like, that's just the story that just kind of, pulled me forward into where I'm at now, and to be blessed to meet people like yourself and, like Deanna Quemple, who introduced us, and be able to level other people up, and not just for money, man, but just to see it and level them up. And that's my jam.
Yeah. Okay. It's so crazy, and it's so funny hearing your story, because I align with a lot of things, just losing my own job and
Yeah.
kind of pretty much going broke. And I almost think like there's this. I've seen a lot of successful people go broke and then like just
Right.
crush it. And I almost think like, is that I'm like, maybe I'll write a book one day of like the key to becoming rich or being ultra successful is going broke, because apparently
It's
I
a
just see this common
prerequisite, man.
trend. Yeah, I see this common trend with a lot of successful people. Um, and so, okay, so you get out of the military, you're completely broke. You
Yeah,
find
I got
this
out of the
love.
military. I was good.
Actually, no, you're good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but you fall into love with real estate. You're
Mhm.
crushing it. Then what? Now you lost everything. Yes,
Yeah.
you start this slow group of positivity, but
Yeah.
I mean, how are you making money, man? That's what I want to know.
You know what? I shifted in real estate. I stayed with it, and I'm still a broker to this day. I have awesome clients I get to serve and help them find arguably their biggest investment to that point in their life, a house. But basically, a lot of people were underwater in their house, meaning they owed a lot more than what it was worth when the market crashed. So I aligned with some really good attorneys to do short sales. That's selling it for market value, negotiating the difference with the bank. And what Obama did that was great, I know a lot of people might not say that, but what he did was great, is he bailed the banks out, right? It would allow the banks to accept short sales. It was taking 4 or 5 months to get them approved. We were getting them done in 45 days. So I
Yeah,
ended up doing over 100 of those, and I was selling them another house. So if you and your beautiful wife had good credit, you could buy a house at today's market value, and I would list your house. It's called a strategic default, which was legal. It was gray area as hell, but it was
yeah,
legal. And basically, so you guys got a new lease on life. You have a short sale on your record for 3 years versus 7 years on a foreclosure. And so you're, again, new lease on life. You have a new house, market value, it's trending up. And so I did, over 100 of those. And I was double dipping, remember, because I was selling you a house and then I was selling your house. So
right, right.
that's what I really used to really bounce back. But on the side, I guess you call Side Hustle Nation, right? I was really building time to shine today. I started with like digital products I found on JVZoo or ClickBank that would help people level up their mindset. And I was blogging and putting out everything from easing to Article Nut or whatnot. And people were buying these products. And I was saying, there's something here. And then I just started building a list out of it and basically putting out great content. Now, what's really driven it is when I started my podcast in 2019, I had 90,000 subscribers. I have 160,000 plus now from the
Yeah,
podcast. It got shared by my subscribers and people start opting in. So I'm blessed that companies now, they send me products for free to do demos on them. And then I
yeah,
put it out to my list at a really good price. So it's awesome. Like I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean right now, but I also have a room over here full of swag that I haven't even gotten to yet. There's some really cool stuff. So I'm just really blessed. Again, I'm doing it for the intention, not the attention now. And there's no ego involved. Trust me, if I'm on the jits mats, just like you or whatnot, you had a little bit of an ego, but other than that, there's no competition, man. I don't
yeah.
compete with people anymore. There's enough to go around.
Yeah. Okay. I love that, and it makes sense. When you got like broken, when you reached that point where like, oh my god, like, and this guy gives you this book, you started, building your resilience. You started building,
Oh yeah.
that toughness. Like David Goggins talks about that callus. You callous yourself, but then you shared it with others years ago, which I found fascinating. And then you started to create this content of like positivity, and because you realized this was going to be what you needed to succeed.
Right.
So other people probably need to hear it too, and
Right.
they align with you. I'm curious too. Not everybody can do that. A lot of people will go backwards.
Mhm.
What was the conversation in your head at the time? Do you remember? What was the self talk? What were you telling yourself? Like I got nothing.
Dude,
This guy gives me a book. I'm going to the library every day.
I had survived. We were told this in the military as well. You've survived 100% of your worst days. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, I'll make it through this. It's just, inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard, right? So basically, I just really plugged away, knowing that what I'm doing now behind the scenes is going to influence somebody's life in a good way. And again, it's for the intention. And it just, I didn't panic. Was
Yeah.
I bummed? Absolutely. I mean, my little brother killed himself, dude. It sucked, but I was, um, I don't know. It's just I knew and I even speak on stage about this. Everything's finite, right? If I'm like, Joel, come to Florida, man, my dime, come out. We're gonna rock some stages. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna have a good time. Go get a good roll in. Go have some brain grenades.
Yeah.
Relax. There's gonna be a time when you're gonna get back on that plane, back to Idaho. That good time ends, right? All good times end, but so do bad times. Everything's finite. So you
Mm.
overlap that happiness. So, I send you home and it sucks that you're leaving, but we've leveled each other so much up. I mean, we went out and volunteered today. We're always doing something to level somebody up. And I make it a point. I make 2 New Year's resolutions every year. One, make someone smile every day. Compliment their shoes. Say, I win. You just smiled, right? So I won that part of my two. Unless I've hurt you, disrespected you, or owe you, I give zero whats about what you think about me. Right. So that's how I just live. I want to overlap my happiness on a daily basis, make other people feel better, and come from a genuine stance. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there looking to make a buck, and they come from, a vulture stance like I used to.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to learn from that. And I don't try to teach anybody. As a coach, you're a coach and you're not there teaching them anything, because the problem resides inside of them, and so does the solution. You just got to help them find it.
Mm.
And that's, luckily I had people that saw me and that knew I was going through some crazy stuff. And like, Fergie, here, I heard you read that book. Read this book.
Mm.
Go do this. Meet this person. Go volunteer over here, and just see how life really could be for you. But I just never got totally down on myself. I didn't turn to drinking, drugs, or anything like that, because I mentioned earlier my dad was a bad alcoholic, so I saw what that could do, and really learned from it.
Yeah, dude, I love that. That is so good. In your experience, just being such a high level coach and being so well rounded, and just from what you've seen and your own personal experience, what do you think? What's preventing people from leveling up?
I
What's the
think
most
that
common thing you see?
I think that they are afraid of that comfort zone. Everyone talks about get out of your comfort zone. If they could just stretch it, the comfort zone, just a little bit at a time, they would see that anything they want is on the other side of fear. Like they're so afraid of that. And everyone's like, get out there. And no, dude, inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard, man. You get out there, you might blast through. You might say you're a realtor and lost everything. You land $1 million deal, but then what? You want just inch by inch, just stretch that comfort zone just a little bit every day, knowing that deep down inside, what you're doing is affecting the future, period, and where you're at. And if you just put your head in the sand, you're going to wake up a year from now in the same spot you were, and you can't really help that person. So the person has to want to make that transformation, that change. They're sick and tired, because we don't move towards things that are good for us. Like, people right now, this time of the year, it's about to wind down. Everyone's like, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get in shape. And they're moving towards it. And then, February 6th comes around and the gyms are half to a quarter of what they were
Yep.
on January 6th. Right.
Yep.
And so we don't move towards things that are good for us. We try to move away from things that are bad. But until you take those things take those head on and really go through them and blast through them, you're always going to be stuck with your head in the sand, man.
Yeah. Is there something for that mental toughness that you have created, that callousness? Is there something that you do daily? I mean, all the rage right now is ice baths. So if you tell me
Yeah,
that,
I
I
do
wouldn't be
that for
surprised.
sure.
But
Yeah.
but is that like something that you'll do on a regular, or is there anything else, an exercise that
Oh
you
yeah,
like to
man.
do to?
I give myself Saturday mornings off, but I win my morning every single day, man. I'm up at 4:30. You text me. I change my voicemail every day. If anyone ever calls me by 5 a.m., they'll be like, hey, this is Scott Ferguson. It's Wednesday, January the 18th. It's a great day to be alive. I change my voicemail every single day, right? And then I immediately brush my teeth, floss, water pick. I'm in a cold ass shower.
Mm.
right? And I do breathing, then I get out, fold a towel, set it on my toilet, and I do psychedelic breathing. 4 rounds of psychedelic breathing. I immediately go out, plank, ab roller, 15 burpees, and then I slam some apple cider vinegar mixed with Himalayan sea salt and lemon juice, right? And I get on my rebounder. I'm known as the rebounder guy when I speak. I always start every speech on a rebounder. People laugh at first, and I'm doing it for a reason because everyone's heads are going up and down, so they're about to affirm what I'm about to speak about. But the rebounder really flushes out your lymph system. When we're sleeping, our heart's beating and our blood's purified, but the lymph system is a one-way valve. The only way you can get that is by you're an inch off of that rebounder, you're at zero gravity. But the second you hit that rebounder, you're at 4 times the gravity. So 4 times is zero, it flushes out that lymph system. So I win my mornings 6 mornings a week, bro. That's it. And then Saturday, I just kind of get my day. Hey, there's some Lucky Charms. I'll eat that. Just
Apparently, that's on
enjoy
the
that
food.
stuff.
That's on the food pyramid. It's okay. It's better than
Right,
steak.
yeah. I just saw that.
Yeah.
By the way, you can eat that over red meat and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. But like Susan has Saturdays off, and she grinds all week too, man. She works out, and whatnot. So we take our Saturdays and just kind of do our thing. But yeah, it's 6 days a week, man. We win our mornings. If it's a Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'm in the jits mats by 6:15. The rest of the days I get a lift in or a nice long bike.
Amazing.
So
I love that. Okay, real quick, Scott, what is there an exercise or again, I want to really stress, and maybe you can even kind of elaborate this on, before I even ask you this question. Like, who's like the ideal person that you work with? Because I know you work with professional athletes and some pretty high level CFOs, CEOs, like people. Is that kind of like the people that come and see you, or?
Well, I mean, I talk about that because even with my coach, they're like, talk about your victories. But I do a ton of pro bono or, $50 an hour coaching. Just, because people deserve that coaching. You never know who you're going to run into. You might level up their life and their boss, like, says, what have you did? How are you so good now? Well, Scott, next thing you know, I'm speaking at their company because
Yeah.
I pushed them, right? Everybody needs somebody, and if even in my bio, we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one. If I can't help you, I am a relationship creator. I will find somebody that can get done what you need done.
Yeah.
I might not be the right horse for the course 9 out of 10 times, but that one time, hey, Joel Evan might be, and I have no problem giving it to you. I might ask for a little spiffer on the back end, 10% or something like that if you want to give it to me, but
Twenty
I'm all
percent is the
about,
standard referral fee, buddy. So
yeah, man,
don't worry. Yeah.
reciprocation,
On
but
that
it's
note,
not,
really quick, Scott, and I gotta say, I know your mission is to help anyone feel like they have no one, and you are. I gotta acknowledge you because that's the truth. I mean, I just started getting to know you, and you have been overly gracious of just really being that
same to
connector
you.
and trying to abundant. That's my T-shirt you're wearing.
That
Abundant as
is.
abundant AF. But no, really, I mean, you do walk the talk, and I mean, if people don't know you,
Thank
like
you, brother.
it's a nice thing. If people don't know you, they might say, "Oh, that's a nice thing that this guy says." He means it. Like
Thanks.
he really does show up and really does do some of those pro bono things. And you really, it's that abundant mindset in trying to help people because you're going to get it back. So
Yeah. I'm very passionate about our heroes, veterans that come back. I do, at least 8 hours a week of pro bono on, like, they have the mental hygiene there, and I go and help out wherever I can. Right. And, they say, Scott, we need you to talk to him. I think you're perfect for him. And also police officers. We want to get our police officers on the jujitsu mats so they can learn to take someone down high and low. So they're not getting on TV saying you just killed somebody. I mean, whatever we can do to help our heroes, that's what we love to do.
yeah, love that. Um, okay, you win the morning. You got the cold plunging. You got that whole routine. What is there? Is there an exercise or anything that you'd like to do with a lot of your clients? And obviously, they're all different. They all come from different walks of life.
Sure.
But is there anything that you do to kind of help them create that mental edge and level up?
That's a great question, man. I have what's called a gratitude sandwich that every single one of my clients has to eat every single day. And it's layered like this. The first, the bread, the top bread is what's your intention for the day? What's your worries for the day? What is your wins from yesterday? And also, who do you want to send good vibes to? That's the top layer of bread. Bread is full of all kinds of crap, right? So that I put that in the first layer. Then I list 14 things that I'm grateful for, or my clients do. 14 things they're grateful for that day, or
One
from the day
four,
before.
14.
14, right?
Wow.
And the 15th is a love letter to yourself. Saying, Scott, man, you're awake. You're 72 inches tall. It means you're 6 feet above ground. Go out, smile, serve, have fun, and kick ass. I love you. I always end it with I love you. So, real quick love letter to myself. So you have that sandwich of your intentions, your worries, and the bottom is the bottom part of the bread is what you're grateful for, and it smushes out those worries, right? So that's what we every single one of them do. I do it 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and that's what I require of my clients. I must see by 6 a.m. that their gratitude sandwich for the day, because it helps me work on what we need to work on. So
Yeah.
I'm very intimate with my clients, man, when it comes to that. Not that kind of intimate, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm close
Yes.
to them
Yes.
and stuff
Yes.
like that. So and get them. So they know that I'm involved, that I love them. I'm always saying I love your guts. I freaking mean that, dude. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just I do, just because so many people have poured love into me that I'm still overflowing from the love they poured in. I just
Mm.
have so much to give.
Yeah. That's so amazing. I love that. And I love that. Everyone says write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning. You're
Yeah.
you're doing 14.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
am.
that's impressive.
Yeah. I'd be happy to
Um,
share my gratitude sandwich on screen, man, that I wrote this morning, man. It's like
yeah.
I have no problem doing that, bro. You know?
Yeah,
So
let's hear it.
yeah, man. Let's go to my
Because I'm actually curious too how you think about that. I mean, I do a lot of gratitude journaling and stuff
I don't
myself.
know
I
if you
don't.
can share screen on
No,
this.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
You
Yeah.
know what? I'll send it to you today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we can have my guy throw it on the screen or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'd
we
be
could do something
cool.
like that. That'd be
Absolutely.
neat. Because I'm always wondering too, and I always tell clients too, gratitude is huge. A lot of times I'll think like, man, I'm just grateful for this cup of coffee because it makes me
Right.
happy.
Absolutely.
I mean, it'll just be simple things, and they're like, oh, that's stupid. But it's like, no, because when you focus on the good keeps coming.
It keeps
And
coming, man. It'll
yeah,
overflow. Like today, the 18th, my intention today to keep the momentum of my energy going, rock Joel Evans podcast, smile and kick ass. My concerns, none. Actually, today I have none, right? Big wins from yesterday. Got a huge offer accepted. Checked out new Kava place in Juno Beach. Awesome time with Susan. And then send good vibes to a friend of mine, Lucas, who's going through some stuff, and Eric Alec, he's my coach, has a big scrap, next week in the PFL. And then I just, God's amazing. Susan takes care of our family. Stitch is my dog's my walking buddy. My 2 cats are lizard hunters. And then also my curiosity, winning my morning, Mike Rodriguez, Phil Sustar, Tubby Aliquin, my burpees, Lucas Grave, my energy, whether where I live, and my love letter to myself is Scott. Go rock your Wednesday. Have fun. Stay focused. Do everything you can to grow your coaching business. Love others. Smile. Serve. I love you. That's it, man. That's my gratitude sandwich for the day. It takes me 6 minutes, you know?
amazing. Yeah,
So and I require that of my clients. And just like a leader won't ask another person to do anything unless they're doing it. So I have
for
no
sure.
problem sharing it
Yeah,
with people.
I love that.
Yeah,
That is
man.
so good. Um, Obviously, you've mastered a lot in your life. I'm curious, like, what are you still learning, man?
How to walk? Like seriously, I wake up every day a white belt. That's where you and I involved in martial arts and whatnot. But if you wake up every day as a white belt, you can have a lot of humility
Mm.
and be able to laugh at yourself, when things go wrong. Because sometimes, I even have, a 17-minute speech is like, front taken from one of the most underrated comedies of all time, Van Wilder, with Ryan Reynolds back in
That's
the
a great
day.
movie.
He's like,
Yeah,
yeah, he's like, don't take life too seriously. You'll never make it out alive. Right. And that's where I tell myself during, my morning sessions, my priming sessions or whatever, that we're just going to laugh today. Makes people smile. It could be a bad day. And I do have them. Trust me, a ton of them. Because that's another question I get. You have a bad day? Absolutely, man. But I also choose how to handle it. Unless a really close friend or family member was to pass, my day is not going to be that bad. Not
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
It's just not. So
Yeah.
it's impossible. I can rebound from anything. I could
Yeah.
get fired by every single one of my clients, and like, I'm not a victim, man. I'm going to dig deep and say, what did I do to make this happen? Not, you know, what did they do? No, dude, I take 100% responsibility. Responsibility is the ability to respond, not react. It's rooted right in the word, and respond to every situation.
Yeah, love that. I my first martial art instructor, he always would say, what's the difference between a white belt and a black belt? And the difference is nothing. A black belt's just a white belt that never stopped. That's
Right?
it. You just
Exactly, man.
that's it. And
Yeah.
you're like, man, like, and also he would tell us, even when you reach the level of black belt, he would say, like every time you put on that belt, like just remember, like this could be your last day of training. Like you just don't know.
Right. You don't.
And
You have no clue, bro.
and when you have,
At all of what's going on out there. You don't know who's having a bad day. So I just get out there, and my resolution, man, make someone smile every day. And if they don't smile, ask them politely, if there's any way that you can be of service, and if I can help them, again, relationship creating, man. That's what I have to do. I have to do it. It's like a freaking drug to me right now.
I'm the same way, and
I know you are. That's why
it
we're
will take
like brothers from different mothers, man. Just a couple years apart.
yeah, and I get pissed off if I see that they don't smile, and I'm like, okay, now I'm like on a
Yeah.
mission to like figure out what is it
Right.
makes you tick. Like now I'm gonna
Right.
figure it out, man. Yeah, I
Dude,
love
even
that.
if you just say everything okay, even it doesn't matter. Everything okay? They can tell you to go jump in the lake, but at least you put the intention out there, right? And if they're like, yeah, I'm going some stuff, how can I be of service? I
Yeah,
can give them a 5-minute coaching session that day that could level up their day, man. And that's winning.
yeah,
You have to be curious, bro. That curiosity is the biggest superpower that goes on in this world. What we're talking on right now, these mics and these computers, was just someone that was curious that made them,
yeah,
right? I mean, everything down to this dang thing that I scratch my head with, right? That's kind of pokey, right? That I love. It's like my tree. That was curiosity. How can we have somebody that gets the blood flow to your head better? I mean, dude, everything's curious. Why not be curious?
yeah,
Why not? Have fun.
yeah. Love that, dude. I want to wrap some things up and jump into
Yeah.
some lightning round questions with you. But before I do,
All
I'm just
right.
curious, any exciting projects or anything that you're working on? I know we were talking offline. You've got a book possibly coming out
Yeah, man.
soon and stuff like that. But yeah. What else? What's on the horizon? What do you got working on?
You know what, man? I'm meeting with some fantastic people, this year, some pretty big names, if you want to call it that. I've gotten there through service, man. And I just want to really continue to plant seeds for trees that I'll never sit in the shade of, man, just like you, and have fun. I mean, we got podcast is booming. I'm blessed for that. The book is, in editing. And the coaching clientele just seems to be like a nice little sieve of people coming in, and we just get to help people, man. Just create that curiosity daily.
Yeah, it's like nothing else is better. I remember you asked me on your podcast. You said like, "What makes you come alive?" or something like that. I think is what you asked me, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Transformation." Like
That's it.
I just live
Yeah.
for that, man. Just to watch people, the light bulbs come on and like that change. And I know it's
Yeah.
the same for you. You know.
Yeah. I mean, my goal, other than making people smile and what every day, is just to really meet fun, interesting people that like to astonish. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the people that I want to really align with.
Yeah.
And because of Deanna, who I do align with that way, I met you,
Yeah.
and other
Yeah.
stellar people,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
absolutely.
It's so funny too. And one quick thing, on that note is I always tell people like, man, my life is like so crazy. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I went on this podcast, Deanna's podcast, and I had no intention other than I had one thing in mind, like deliver an awesome podcast, be energetic, be
Yeah.
me, but
Right.
you full energy, right? That was it. I had
Right.
no other. I'm not doing this podcast hoping anything else will happen. And
Right.
she introduced me to you, and so because she said, "Man, your energy is so amazing. I got to introduce you to this other guy." I had no
Yeah.
idea that was going to happen. And it's just
No.
energy, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that creation, and
She's
people.
part
How'd
of
you
our
get?
squad, man. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? If we're out places, Deanna's there. She's fun to hang out with too, man. Like her and
Yeah.
Mikey, man, like they vacation like a couple miles from me here, and like it's Susan and I go out and meet them, and we have blasts, we have good times, man.
Yeah.
She's just, again, it's, you got that squad that just bonds, because we do things from a place of service, and when you do it, do we want to get paid for what we do? Absolutely. It's like, but a lot of people will give, but they're not open to reciprocation, right?
Yeah.
Where, that's why I keep one plant that's cat friendly in my place. The rest of my plants are outside, but that we breathe in what oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide. That plant breathes in carbon dioxide, breathes out oxygen. It's a give and take throughout this whole world. So
Mm-hmm.
give until it hurts so good. Be open to that reciprocation, 100%.
Love that. Let's jump into some lightning round questions, but
Let's do
before
it.
I do it, just anything that I didn't ask you, man, that you wish I had.
That's a great question, man. Um, no, bro. This is fun. This is good
Awesome.
times.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll have to have you come back on when the book comes up. I know that
Oh,
if
I
you're in the
really
editing
appreciate
phase,
that, man.
if you're in
I'll
the
be hitting
editing
you up
phase,
anyways on
yeah,
that.
if you're in the editing phase,
You're
I
gonna
mean,
do the same for you when yours drops,
yeah,
bro.
I know if you're in the editing phase, then you're pretty much at the goalpost. Like you're getting pretty close. So
Yeah,
that should be no time soon. But yeah, we'll do something. Maybe we'll do a live and have some fun.
that'd be
Um,
awesome.
Fergie, I'm curious, man. Are when you think back in your life, was there a choice or just maybe some choices that you made that you think made you who you are today?
Yeah, I did not listen to those loud whispers in my ear, my early years of my life, my intuition, right? Um, and I told my mom about it. My mom did not have the prosperity mentality. She's passed on now. I miss her a lot, but she's just like, ask, and when I wouldn't, and then a good friend of mine, Leah Woodford, would say, get your asking gear. Once I
Mm,
started doing that, things just started really changing because people want to give their knowledge. If they have anything material to give you, they want to give it because they see you taking that initiative and ask. I mean, I'm being 50 years old right now, and you're not 50, but you're not too far behind me. You and I are like in our
yep.
silverback status, right? Like
Yep.
between 40 and 65, people look at us like they come to us now. It feels so
Yeah.
freaking good to be able to give to them when they come because there's people there that did it. I know friends that are my age. I love them, love their guts. Like I always say, absolutely, and I really do. But they don't want to give anything to the world, man. I want to
Mm,
give everything. And really, to go back to my long-winded answer, is just really get my asking gear on a daily basis. Stay curious, man. I tell everybody, stay curious, dude. If
yes.
you're just curious with no agenda to level up, there's no way that you can't level up. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
If you're curious, how does that bike work or whatever, you learn it. Next thing you know, you're riding it, and next thing you know, you're losing that weight. It's like, just stay curious on everything.
I love that. I love the asking part too, because I am terrible about asking because I feel like if I'm asking you, then I'm being selfish and
Yeah,
I don't want to be needy. I don't want to ask for your help. And that's something I've really turned around because I
good.
love to give, but
Yeah,
asking for your help, it feels scary and that I'm weak.
right.
And I've really turned that around. And something else you said I love. I remember hearing this a long, long time ago from LL Cool J. And take it from where you are, but that guy's a high performer. Whether
Oh,
you look at
dude,
it or not, he's a
love
high
LL.
performer. Yeah. And I remember reading an article with him and this is a guy who had like 10 platinum albums. I don't know if he still goes platinum nowadays, but he said, when I die, I want to die empty.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
Yeah,
and he said, and people are like, what do you mean? And he's like,
yeah,
I want to, I want to know that like I gave so much to the world, like I had nothing else to
right,
give. I was like, oh my
right.
God. And like that just blew my mind. And I'm like, that I started living. I was 18. I was like 24 when he. So
Die empty.
I'm
Absolutely. We're not taking anything with us.
yeah.
I even posted today. The only thing that we have in our life, truly have, are the memories that we make, man. The moments in time. So
Yep.
make great memories.
Yeah.
Period. No matter what your situation is, make good memories. A lot of my coaching clients, they're stuck, and that's where I can help them. I believe that everybody knows what they want, but they don't know how to talk themselves into it. Period. And that's where people like you and I can look at them and through our service and wanting to leave this world empty and by pouring out into everybody, that's what people need. And that's what you and I are really good at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're such a force in just I wouldn't even say the health and I interview a lot of health and wellness folks, but
Yeah.
just, I mean, I don't even know what to, I mean, optimization, performance, world
Yeah.
and you have so many good mentors and people that you've been around.
Sure.
Who inspires you?
Um, there's I'm to the point now where I don't need anybody specifically, right? But when
Or
I
is there anybody
slide,
that you follow? I don't want to say like an
oh
Instagram, like I follow this guy, but
yeah,
is there anybody that just like you're like, oh man, that guy's that's
dude,
something that's cool.
my lady is such the oxymoron of me, right?
I'm
That
laughing because I can totally relate,
when
man.
I get into a situation, one of the first things I say is, how would Susan handle this? What would
Mm.
she feel? Because she's so calm. Raised 4 kids. Our kids are in their 20s and 30s, right? And so like there's certain times where I'll run in and I just want to, I look at it and the best blessing of the day is when I get into bed and I see her there with my pit bull basically laying on top of her, right? And just thanking God for her, dude. That's the person that, I would legitimately die for. Just like you with your wife. And so because we're so different, it makes it so perfect. Period.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, I love that. I can relate. My wife, I think, is probably I don't pay her. She always jokes, "You should be paying me for these people," but she's probably my best, the best life
Susan
coach.
would be banking right now if I
She's
had to
the
pay her for
she,
everything I
she's
turned to
like,
her
I don't
for.
know why you paid that guy for podcast advice or whatever. I could have told you that. I told you that 10 years ago, Joel. Whatever. But she really is the oxymoron and the person
Yeah.
who sharpens my sword probably more than anybody. And
Yeah.
it points out my blind spots, and that's something
And it's funny
that
when you just mentioned sharpening your sword. If you're sharpening your sword, you think that you would use steel. No, use stone. Use something totally different,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So, yeah, we're lucky in that regard for sure.
yeah. I'm a big reader, dude. Any big books that had a tremendous impact on your life? Is there a top one to three that you just think of that come to
Yeah,
mind where you're
man.
like,
I
man, you
got
should go out and
4.
read this book?
Yeah, I got 4. Andy Andrews, the Traveler's Gift that I told you about. Bob Berg's The Go-Giver. Viktor Frankl's As a Man Thinketh. And
Yeah,
then Mitch Albom's Tuesdays with Morrie. So those
amazing.
4.
Three of them I have never heard about, so this is great.
Oh, really? Yeah, the
Yeah,
Go-Giver is Bob Berg. Fantastic business parable. I'm lucky. I mean, he sold, I don't know, like 8 million copies. Pretty big producer of the book. And, I'm lucky he lives right down the street for me, too. It's kind of cool. And Mitch Albom, he wrote for the Detroit Free Press, but he wrote a book that became a movie called Tuesdays with Morrie. The old man was dying from ALS. He was his professor in college. He's going to go say his goodbye, and ended up every Tuesday he'd fly from Detroit to Boston and learned life lessons, man. And the biggest lesson is that to live, you must first learn how to die,
mm,
right? So we're here, and everything's finite, and
yeah,
like you said, leave empty.
yeah,
That's just a great lesson. Obviously, Viktor Frankl's As a Man Thinketh is classic, and I just could not even fathom being in that line at Auschwitz, wondering if I'm going to the smokestack or if I'm going to the fields to labor, what they probably thought was the rest of their living life, but for
yeah,
him to keep that, like, just fortitude and to keep that optimism, man, is huge. It's
yeah,
something that's a book. It's really quick, nice read. Read it once a year.
yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you the last two questions. We'll wrap it up. I was gonna ask you if there's any rituals, hacks, or practices, but I think you pretty much gave it. It's your morning
Yeah,
routine is that's pretty. That's you're dialed in and you're doing that.
yeah,
And the
dialed in.
gratitude sandwich. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you do on a regular basis. So that was
One
great.
thing that I should add to that is, if me being 250 pounds, I drink 125 ounces of water
Mm,
a day. Period.
nice.
That's except for Saturday. Saturday, I'll still probably get 75 to 100 ounces in, but and some of it might be other than water. You know,
Yes,
um,
yes,
but
yes.
yeah, man, hydration's key. 100%.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Then, last but not least, man, Scott Ferguson, where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about you, and your awesome podcast, the Time to Shine Today podcast? Yeah, just let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, time to shine today.com/podcast. It goes in episode. Make sure you check out episode 346, this handsome devil that I'm interviewing being interviewed by right now is he rocked the mic on there. And then also our direct line for anything is 561-440-3830. Somebody will, if we don't answer, we'll make sure we get back. You can call or text no matter what. And, we're launching TTST Coach. Again, my coaches are like, you have to have a part of your coaching website. So probably by the time this episode drops, that'll be up with just some really coaching tidbits and how you can hire myself or somebody that from the Time to Shine Today family, like Joel as well, and be able to get in touch with them.
Awesome, brother. Love you, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Love your guts, brother. Appreciate it.